listening to Jai Long, and this is Make Your Break. Whether you're a big-hearted creative or an aspiring entrepreneur, let's take action on your dreams, reconnecting you with your why and giving you the how. I'm here to dish out actionable mindset tips and fun industry secrets to help you blow up your biz. From eye-opening reality checks to motivational gold, no two episodes are ever the same. So tune in weekly, skip the FOMO, and let's dive into the deep together. Hey you, I hope you're doing well. You're listening to Jai Long, and today I'm actually speaking to some incredible educators and entrepreneurs. We're talking to Evie and Lindsey. So they're from the Heart and Hustle podcast, which is a fantastic podcast for all creative entrepreneurs, especially if you're a photographer, actually. So they are actually photographers themselves, but they educate all creative entrepreneurs on tons of different really cool stuff. And I'm so excited that I get to speak to them once again on my podcast. So if you haven't heard them before, they actually jumped in and taught a little bit around social media before, which is one of our most downloaded episodes. So if you want to head over to that, you might need to scroll back a little bit in the catalog, but I'm sure you will find it. Now, the reason why I really wanted the Heart University or the Heart and Hustle to jump onto the podcast today was just so you can get to know them a little bit more before they speak at the summit. So they're going to be big speakers at the Wedding Photography Summit, and they're going to teach everybody on how to best take advantage of Reels. Now, Reels for social media, which could be for Instagram, but it also could be for TikTok, it could be for YouTube. I'm pretty sure Pinterest and LinkedIn do Reels now, even Facebook. So there's so many places that we can, YouTube Shorts, there's so many places that we can post short form content, video content, to get our reach out there so much further. And it doesn't need to be scary and it doesn't need to be hard. So they'll be teaching a lot to do with that. They'll be doing a masterclass at the Wedding Photography Summit. So if you don't have a ticket yet, head over to weddingphotographysummit.com. But for today, I want to actually jump in behind the scenes. Who are these girls? What are they about? How do they make their break and everything else? So I'm excited to dive in and just see the personalities behind the brand that we see online and hopefully get inspired and motivated by these two, which I know for sure is going to happen. So let's get into today's interview. All right, guys, I'm actually really excited to have a chat with you guys. And I was thinking, you know what? You guys have such a good reputation. Every time I talk to someone, because I'm always talking to, so many students and stuff, your name always pops up. Everyone's always like, oh, do you guys know Evie and Lindsey? The Heart University, like those guys are the real deal. So I was like, oh, you know what? I should just jump on the podcast and just talk to them and see if they're real.
Hopefully we are.
I would like to think I'm real.
Well, you both look very real.
So.
What'd you say?
Hopefully.
You look very real, yeah.
We try.
Really
the CGI, we put the effort into the CGI, keep it realistic, all of it.
Yeah. Well, now that the filter's not on, I'm like, wait a second, you guys are totally different looking.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Face is completely different. No, just kidding.
Voice is different. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, you guys are speaking at the Wedding Photography Summit really soon. And sometimes when we do things like this, we don't really get to show too much personality or connect on a deeper level with everybody. So it would be cool just sort of, just talk about a few things today. I want to talk about how successful and amazing and gorgeous you two are. And then you guys can just sit there and blush, I guess. That's the main thing.
Already started.
Yeah.
All right. I'll just sit and take it. That's great.
Yeah. So actually the first thing I do want to talk about is, I think there's so many educators in this space, and there's actually not many that people talk about and say that, that they are genuine and they're in it for the students. And you guys are definitely right there, which obviously gives me mad respect because I love that. I want to know, like, when you guys started as educators, like, what was the thought process? What got you over the line to think, like, guys, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to change things up because of whatever reason.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah. Lindsey, you or me?
You go first.
At the exact same time.
Both share our thoughts. I love it. Well, Yeah, it's such an interesting, journey switching from becoming a photographer to an educator. And for us, it actually had nothing to do with money, which I see in the industry a decent amount. And I don't want to totally bash on that because I understand, as entrepreneurs, we're in it to create a living for ourselves. There can be other reasons and momentums as well and motivations of desiring to really serve clients and desiring to serve students. But I don't ever want to bash on somebody who recognizes the monetary value in education. However, we never want that to be our end all be all because students will feel it. It'll affect the quality. It'll affect our hearts. It'll affect the students, all of that. But for us, it actually had nothing to do with money. We both had just gone through the process of really starting and scaling our businesses. And I think Lindsey and I both naturally really thrive in the really nerdy, like psychology and marketing and, thinking through how is this going to be perceived by clients and what are they feeling? How can we serve them? And so because of that, we saw a lot of really fast growth in our businesses once we really stepped into the business side of it. And we started getting all these questions from fellow photographers being like, hey, I've been trying to do this for 5 years. How have you already gotten to where you are in a year or in, a year and a half? What are you doing? And our desire was, hey, I've trialed and errored a lot of stuff and I've figured out a lot of stuff. And I really want to see these other photographers also feeling that level of like, I'm doing it. I've hit my stride. I'm feeling this momentum. I'm serving who I want to serve. And I'm really proud of what I'm doing. So for us, that was kind of like the catalyst, the tipping point of we just figured a lot of crap out and then decided we wanted to help other people do the same.
That's unreal.
Yeah. I love that. The only thing I would add to that is I hate when I see somebody living their life and not loving it. Or feeling like they're in a job that they hate, whether it's an entrepreneurship or just like 9 to 5, just when they wake up and hate their life and they're just feeling like they were made for something more and they don't know what that is. And I think that like pull really drew me into education and sharing, like, as I was growing my photography business, just same as Evie, like getting successful and people started asking me, wait, like, I have this dream too, whether it was photography or something else of like doing my own thing and creating my own hours. And I see like the success that you're having and I want that for my own life. And it was just that drive and desire to help other people thrive, living their life and really truly love doing like what they were born to do. So that's kind of also, I don't know, it just same as Evie is like, it came out of that desire to truly help people like live a life they absolutely love.
Yeah, I heard a mentor of mine once say, if you can, then you must. And it's like, it's such a simple little thing, but like you're saying, it's like, if you see someone there's just struggling and it's so easy for you to help them along, it's like, well, you must do that, And I think it's, and it's amazing that we get supported and then that we can grow communities and everything else to be able to bring more of that education to more people and keep lifting, the tide and everything else. So that's really cool.
Yeah, we love it. I mean, it lights our hearts on fire, even, years in now, it's still just everything to us. Just, it means the world to us. And hopefully our education also means the world to our students. That's our goal.
When did you start your education?
2018, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, what's interesting? So I've been an educator since 2015 and I've been doing a lot of workshops and stuff, a lot of grinding, like a lot of grinding, right? A lot of coaching calls and free mentoring, everything I could do, So it's like, 8 years on now or 7 years on? And I think about right now, I'm more fulfilled than ever before. And every year it becomes, it almost like, it kind of snowballs a little bit because more people reach your education and more people reach your strategies and things like that. And then you can impact more people. And it feels like something that like continues to feel fulfilling. And I think that's really cool. It kind of like, and especially like your podcast, so many people listen to your podcast and everything, but as it reaches more people, it really does become more fulfilling as well because you feel like you're making a huge impact. Do you guys feel like that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, it's interesting because like I feel like I felt the same level of awe or wonder, like even when I first started one-on-one coaching, or not even one-on-one. Yeah, I guess one-on-one mentor sessions when it was just me, like before me and Evie joined the Heart. And just even like the feeling of that first person that receives education from me, like that clicking in their brain of like, oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's so cool. Like that was like the seed of it. And then like you said, like when you, not like that you, in order to be successful, you have to have all these numbers and like all these people like listening to you, but it does, I think, mean something when you do have people that are like, wow, like this course changed my life. Or I don't know, just like when people come to our conferences, that's just like, especially like face-to-face people, just like saying in person, like this was life-changing. Like that is that
getting tattoos.
Yeah, literally.
Getting tattoos around like our brand or our conference, just like, oh, you really like this impacted your life.
Yeah.
I know. I've got students that got tattoos as well. It's amazing because it actually changes people's lives. And that's what like blew my mind. Cause like at the start I was like, oh, you're just saying that. But then after a while I've seen the impact of things and I'm like, oh, like this is actually like, you just bought a car, you're putting your kid through school. Like, you know, there's so many little things. It's never the money, but it's the result of the money. And then that's the thing that makes me happy when I see that bit and I'm like, oh my God, actually that's amazing. You know?
Yeah. You see either the, you know, the result of the money, like you're saying, or, you know, another result of the money is the freedom and the joy that you can see in students' faces. And that's just everything to, I think, every single one of us right here. We're like, yep, that's it. That's what we do this for.
Yeah. You know, one of my favorite things doing as an educator, which sounds really selfish, but it's blowing people's minds. So like you were saying just a second ago, Lindsay, you're saying like you can see it when something clicks on their face and then all of a sudden it all just comes together. And for everybody, I always find it's not because I think anyone just doesn't know anything. It's because everyone works so close to their own business. So they just can't see everything. And I love, like my favorite thing is like giving them a concept and using an analogy and then really driving it home and watching their face. And in the second that it clicks and everything changes, I'm like, that's the point. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy or hard or the secrets or anything. It's literally just something that they couldn't see. And then it's so rewarding.
Yeah,
100%.
Oh, I think that's such a good point too. The fact that we are all so close to our businesses and that no matter what stage of business you're in, you need a coach or a mentor or somebody who can give you that, help pull out of like the nose to the paper, that perspective that we often have, no matter how hard we try to change it, and be able to give us that like 30,000 foot view and be like, hey, have you ever realized that everyone views you like this? And so you could lean into that strength and really serve people in this capacity. And you're like, what? Like I never saw that. So I just love that you mentioned that because it's so true. Like no matter, you know, 100%. Where you're at or what you know or what you don't, sometimes it's just that separate perspective, that outside perspective that, you know, we're just not always seeing, that just clicks something in our brains and is so powerful.
Well, I also think it's really cool as we sort of, self-develop and become more woke in the world and the things that we do, we realize how much more we don't know. And then we start realizing like when we get to a point that like, no matter how high or whatever you do, you're like, man, I'm leaving money on the table. And like, I'm just not, like, there's just blocks all around me and I just don't know what they are. And so you start searching for coaches and stuff. But when you first start out, for some reason, we think we can do everything ourselves. We don't need no help from no one. And we're out to prove everything, that we're geniuses. But as you start like moving up the ladder, you're like, no, I need lots of people around me. And I'd rather make more opportunities, you know, and create, bring more people up around me instead of me proving to the world that I'm a genius.
I feel like it's ego because I agree. Like when you're first starting, you have this element where you're just like, oh, I just want to do it like all by myself. I feel like we shared this on our podcast recently, but it's almost like somebody like you're going through a jungle. I think Evie, you said this, and you're like trying to hack away at like all the branches or the jungle vine, whatever, Tarzan stuff. And you're like hacking away, trying to like forge your own path when there's literally like already a proven path, like right beside you.
Right next to you.
And maybe, and maybe it costs a little bit of money, but it's like, if you just invest in it and then you like walk on it, it's just like such a faster shortcut to success and to having a thriving business. And I just love that example because I feel like that really is what it is. I'm just like, oh no, I got this. I'm going to do it.
And like you said right now, you guys are forging a path. So you are literally doing that right now as well. So you're already way ahead, but there's someone at the start of the path that everyone's jumping in behind you. But right now where you are, you're like, oh man, I wish there was a path I could jump on, or maybe there is, and I've got a coach or something.
Yeah.
So, we all do it.
Yeah,
totally.
absolutely.
Well, and I also feel like when somebody does think about getting into education, or they have that moment of, because that's kind of where the conversation started, of kind of going from photographer to educator. I get this question a lot of just like, how did you know that you were ready to coach, or that you were, I guess, like qualified enough to coach? Because that's what people are thinking. And I was like, I literally was not 100% ever qualified to coach. It was just that kind of what Evie said earlier, of just like people asking us and realizing that, like, if you're viewing your journey as an entrepreneur like a ladder, maybe you're on rung 2. Like, you're not even at the top. Like, Dean Graziosi can be at the top. That's fine. But like, I'm on rung 2. And I think we often forget that there's people that haven't even started climbing the ladder that see you on rung 2. And they're like, wait, you're clearly doing something that I need, right? I want to get there. But yet we're on rung 2 looking up to like rung 10 and being like, oh, I could never, and it's like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people have imposter syndrome in that way of just, if you have something knowledgeable and if you've seen success in it and you know something, it doesn't even have to be education. Like, if you know something and you have a talent or a gift in something, like, share that with the world.
Do you guys ever have people come to you and say like, what could you possibly teach me? And they're not even on the ladder yet.
Oh,
yeah. Wait,
I get this all the time. I literally do.
People are asking you, like they don't believe that you have value to give.
Well, so like I get this all the time. I got one today and they're like, oh, I see your course and I see your results and stuff, but I'm already making $20,000 a year. What could you possibly teach me that's going to get me further?
No, we've got that of like people, like whether it's our conference or a workshop or a course or whatever, they're just like, but I already know all there is to, they don't say it like that, but it's just I'm already successful. So we're right. I just laugh because I'm like, I know nothing. Like, so even me, like, I'm just like, we're all growing. There's obviously a place and time for like certain, courses or offers that aren't the right fit for somebody. Like, there's that genuine moment. But I also think it's a scary place to be when you get that mindset that like, I'm too good for education or I'm too good for investing in myself in any capacity.
Yeah.
Well, I think it comes down to the growth mindset. There's always more. There's always more to learn. There's always more to understand. There's always more evolving in the world around us between, marketing and, the Facebook like systems have changed and Facebook ads totally changed. And there's just literally every 2 hours. It's crazy.
I know.
There's always more. But if, I think like you mentioned, Jai, straight up tough love moment. If we ever get to a place of feeling like, well, I've already heard a conversation around like social media marketing, there's nothing else I could possibly learn.
Yeah.
You got red flags. Like, watch out. That's
Wait, so how do you respond when someone says that to you? How do you respond?
Well, I always give it a little bit of, 5 minutes to sort of just calm myself down, because I always sort of get a little bit worked up. I'm like, oh, okay, so geez, like there is so much to unpack here. But hey, here's the thing, like, if you're really good and you understand the science of going to the gym and you understand like the eating a right diet and everything, but you're not in the best shape, but someone at the gym is in really good shape, then they've got something to teach you because they're doing something that maybe that you're not. And even though we don't like to talk about money in business, literally the metric of a successful business is measured by money, right? So if we just go on and break it down to that, if someone is making more money than me, then by default, I'm like, I know they can teach me something. Maybe they're not a better photographer. Maybe they're not a better educator, not something, whatever it is. But I'm like, I know that they're getting better results than me and they've got something to teach me, right?
Yes.
And anyone on the planet that's just making slightly more money than me, I'm like, man, I need to know what they know. Like, they've got something for me, and even if it costs me money to, extract that information or that knowledge or whatever it is, it's worth it for me, because if I sign up to your course, for instance, and then I just made an extra, let's say your course cost $5,000 and I only made $10,000 from it. I'm like, man, that was good money. I doubled my money. Plus I'm going to double my money every single year, because every single year I'm going to make an extra 10 grand from that first 5,000 I invested into you guys. And so I think like that all the time.
People don't think like that though. That's really good. People don't think that.
I love that.
I think reasons. Yeah.
No, go for it.
Well, there's a few reasons. This blew my mind. So my staff actually told me this the other day because I was saying, my course is like $2,500. And I was saying, man, I invest, like one of my staff members is $2,500 a week. And it's not groundbreaking. For each week that I paid their bill, I'm not like, whoa, my business has grown. Like I better get a return on investment. I'm just, that's cost of business, right? But what I realized is as creative entrepreneurs, people don't see it as a business expense. They see it as a personal expense. So personally, I wouldn't spend $2,500 on me to go and buy some clothes or go buy something for my car because I just don't like that. But on my business, I'll spend $10,000, $20,000, $100,000, $150,000 because I'm like, oh, I'm growing my business. So I think there's a big disconnect between people realizing that they're investing in themselves or they're investing in the wealth of their business and their earning capacity, which is completely different.
Totally. Well, I think there's also something to be said. This is just a deep dive conversation. There's something to be said for, as a student, you also have to put in the work. You can never just hire a coach or take a course or read a PDF or whatever it is and assume that you just drank the magic elixir that is suddenly going to result in that $10,000 that you mentioned, Jai. No. You have to consume the information that somebody is giving you and then do the dang work. And that's, I think, some of the hard part too, is that a lot of us have this mindset of, I just want somebody to spoon feed me all the solutions, all the answers, and then I'm just going to sit back and watch the results. And 99.999% of the time, that is never going to happen. Like you have to put in the work. And so I think that's something else too, that's can be discouraging, is somebody investing in something, feeling like maybe they do know, like you mentioned, Jai, maybe you buy one of our courses and 85-90% of the content that we're teaching. Of course. But what about that, 5%? What about the 10%? What about
the one thing?
The new thing, and then putting in the work, and then those results come. I think that's key too, of like, anytime you sign up for any sort of education, don't just start getting discouraged with like, well, I've heard somebody mention that before. Sure, it was phrased in a new way and made a little bit more sense this time, but I've already heard that. It's like, was there something that you've either never heard or it resonated with you in a way of like, I can apply this. I understand this now. It clicked, like something in my business I could do, blah, 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 blah. Then go do that. Like go take the action. Don't just expect the results to suddenly magically appear because you took it in one ear.
Someone said to me the other day that they've been in my course for over 12 months. And they said, Jai, there's something that you say, I can't remember what it was. It was something that you say and you say it all the time. You say it on your podcast, you say it all the time. And it's one day I tuned in on the coaching call and you said it again. And all of a sudden it hit me at the exact right time, because before that I wasn't ready at all. Yeah. And now that I just listened again, even though I heard it 50,000 times and it just went over my head, now I was like, that's the one thing that I need to change my business. And it didn't matter if you told me 12 months ago, because it wouldn't have done anything. And I get that all the time. I don't know if you guys do this, but there's a lot of people that say, instead of reading 5 books, just to do the habit of reading books, like read your favorite book 5 times, because you're going to get something better out of it. And I do that. I'll read my favorite book, probably 15 times. But every time I read one of my favorite books, I'm like, oh my God, I'm glad I came back, because I missed that bit, because it comes to me at a different time or a different stage of business or whatever it is.
That's so good. Lindsay and I both have annual repeat reads that are typically like the most impactful or just powerful books that we've ever read on marketing, business, personal, whatever it is. And we go back to them every single year because we always get something new out of it.
So new.
Wait, Jai, what's your favorite business book or personal book?
Okay, so I've got so many. So one that I listen to just for motivation and for money mindset is just like, you're a badass at making money. So I tell everyone to like go and listen to that one. Another one I actually listen to is actually Grant Cardone. It's got one called Be Obsessed or Be Average. So that one there, I just listen to that one like over and over and over because I'm obsessed. And so literally, so it like works with my personality. And I think every book is different for everyone, because someone might read Story Brand by Donald Miller, or someone might read Purple Cow by Seth Godin, and they might not land on them, or it would be at the wrong time, right? So for instance, one of my friends once said to me, it's like, man, I don't like that Grant Cardone book because it's just motivation. There's no strategy. But then in a year's time, he listened to it again, and then he was like, oh my God, it's full of strategy. I just wasn't ready for that strategy yet, you know, so they couldn't even understand it.
Well, that goes to your point of rereading or taking the same course at a different season and letting it hit you different, or just realizing it's hitting you different than the first time you did it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so good.
Exactly. So you guys are coming to the Wedding Photography Summit, and I know you're going to have some big fans there. What do you think of that?
Oh, we are beyond. We are so freaking stoked on life to, first of all, have the honor to be involved, but also just to be in your ecosystem and to serve your people. And just to like rock out on reels. I know that's our topic.
You guys are going to rock it.
I feel like, we are spicy. Well, I'm spicy. I'd be spicy too. No, I'm kidding.
I can be spicy. I just we do the little good cop, bad cop, and you tend to take the bad cop seat a little bit more, and I'll soften up the edges.
You're a bad girl.
But truly, we utilize Instagram so fully, just in growing our business. And obviously we've done like a myriad of other marketing strategies, but we have a soft spot for Instagram and especially Reels. We joke that we were like dancing before Reels were ever a thing, which we were. But we're excited to just like show up.
A spade.
I know.
Which we were.
You invented Reels, basically.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Adam,
people were like, "Wait, you were us." Your TikTok before TikTok was a thing. I'm like, yes, I was.
Yes.
But we're excited to just show up and to bring the fire, and also teach people how to utilize Reels in a way that, like, if you don't like dancing like me and Evie, or if you aren't extroverted or like very just, basket cases like we are, like it doesn't have to be an automatic, like, oh no.
Which is why that was an automatic yes when I was like, I need to get you guys on the summit. You know what I mean?
Because we're basket cases.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. We'll bring
the basket case energy.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't want it to be like a boring conference or anything.
We won't be wearing suits, just to warn you.
That's so good. And something that you just said there is like, you're excited to become part of like our ecosystem here and everything. And I think for me, it's just so important to bring everyone together, and the educators that I get to work with, it's just been so amazing, like collaborating. And then everyone teaches something so different and in different ways. And like, so many people always say like, Jai, isn't there like competition with courses and stuff? Like, man, there is so many out there. You should do all of them. Like you don't just stop at one and you're done for the rest of your life. Surely that's not you. Because if I'm anything to go off, like I don't read one book, like I read them all. I literally do, and I'm so excited. And I love it when my favorite educators that I look up to, they collaborate with other of my other favorite educators. And then for instance, like maybe it could be Dean with Tony Robbins or something like that. Or it could be Gary Vee with Grant Cardone, or it could be something like that. And I'm like, yes, like, they're completely different and they're joining forces and they're doing it for me. So this is great,
It's so good. Yeah. I mean, we're so excited. I feel like there's just something really special that comes with getting fresh perspectives sometimes. I'm sure, anyone listening to this has probably heard someone talk about Reels and talk about Reel strategy, but sometimes just listening, like we were talking about earlier, from a different person who's saying something slightly differently or has a different experience, different perspective, different approach, can just click a light bulb and just absolutely pivot, your grasp or your excitement or your, whatever it is about a certain topic. So we're excited to hopefully maybe bring a little bit, of our chaotic energy to your ecosystem, Jai, and maybe, share something in a way that clicks with somebody who's maybe been hearing it 50 million times from you, but for some reason it clicks with us. So I feel like that's something really cool with collaborating with others, is that just brings that different perspective that sometimes somebody just suddenly gets, even though they've been hearing it. It's just they haven't been hearing it. So that's our goal.
I love, honestly, that I know you do this every year, but I love that you do things that bring not only educators together, but just like bring like photographers into a community. I think that's so cool.
It's so cool.
And it's just something special. So I just want to like let you know that.
Well, what's cool also is like you have such a really cool community of people, and I see the community. When your community, you said you got people that got tattoos and stuff. You got diehard fans, and they see themselves as part of your ecosystem. And I've got the same thing, so I've got people that like literally have the pirate flag on their bios and the Instagram and stuff like that. But what's really cool is like you've got a community and I've got a community. When they come together, it's so cool that they, everyone starts making new friends, cross-pollinating, and they all get to talk about everything. And I think that is just, amazing.
Oh, it's so true. When you asked us, it was a heck yes. Like it wasn't even will this work? It was like, we will make this work. Heck yes.
Right. Like our VA asked us and we were like, yes, no.
Just do that. Yeah.
Don't tell us the dates. It's in. It's going.
We will make it work.
You guys work just the way, same as I work as well. I'm always like that as well. Yeah, of course. Don't you want to know the date, Joe? No, I don't need to know that.
Just put it in my calendar. I'll yes.
So for next year, what are you guys thinking? Are you guys got some big goals? Are you going to relax a little bit more? Are you going to expand? Are you going to shoot more, shoot less? Are you going to have some big conferences? Are you just going to take up belly dancing? Like, what's on the horizon for next year?
Well, speaking of bellies, I am currently growing a human.
Ooh.
So I'm having my third girl in February. So part of next year will be just a logistical maternity leave for that to happen. So I'm very excited for that. Just, I don't know. I with each new kid, I learn something new about life and just giving myself grace and how to balance entrepreneurship with motherhood, which is a journey and a challenge.
And you sort of probably learn a little next level of stress as well and how you handle that. Like you
100%.
Learn more stuff about yourself.
Well, literally today, me and Evie were on a marketing call with our CMO, and I don't know how I knew that it was in my calendar, but it was very much in my calendar. And then Andrew was like, right. Andrew my husband went to the store and he's like, hey, I'm leaving. And I was like, oh yeah, cool. And then she woke up literally right as the meeting started. And I was like, that's great. That's what we're just going to roll with it. So Lindsay's
holding her youngest currently, just toddling around, trying to shove her face in the computer screen. And our CMO and Lindsay and I are all just totally smiling, laughing, but continuing the business conversation.
I just muted myself when she started screaming. Anyways, so that's a tiny part of 2023. Evie, anything else you got?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think, as far as the heart goes and personal wise, Lindsay and I are both on this mission. And I don't know if any of your female listeners will relate to this or even male listeners, but Lindsay and I are really on a mission to build a really sustainable, large business that we can serve as many people as possible with really quality education while not spending every single minute of every single day working in the business. And so our goal, especially women, yes, as everyone's dream, but especially as women, Lindsay's in the motherhood season. I am preparing, looking towards, I've always kind of had in my mind, kids someday. Now I'm married, have been married for a little over a year. And, I'm like, okay, the countdown is counting down. So in my mind as well, we're both preparing for the season of wanting to be fully present mothers. Yeah. And so I think for the heart, we're trying to juggle that. This year has been a real throttle back year on our big live launches and creating and launching new courses every single year and leaning much more into building out our evergreen and building out our strategy of really, serving more people with what we currently have. So I feel like next year is going to be a mix of that. Plus we have a couple of things that we're really excited about, including the conference for 2023, which will be in Dallas, Texas in October. And we are so pumped. That's already halfway sold out and we just launched it a week ago. So it'll be fun. So there's definitely a mixture of things, but I feel to give an overview, we're seeking that balance of how can we continue to scale this business and really steward it really well, while also trying to be really, able to fully embrace motherhood and marriage and raising families and being, a boss and a mom all at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds amazing. I mean, it's basically exactly where I'm at as well with all my stuff. And, I'm a natural born hustler. I've been hustling since I came, out of the womb, basically. Yeah. And so I find it really hard to take a step back. And even when I'm like, okay, I'm going to slow down a little bit, but then I get more time and then I hustle even harder. So next year I'm like, okay, this time I'm going to see if I can put more systems in place and then hustle a little bit less because the business does work without me.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things. And you know what I'm really excited about? It's something that I don't really know. And so it's I've grown my business and it's pretty big, but I haven't grown it bigger before. So I'm in this stage where I'm excited, nervous, looking for new rooms, new people to talk to, new coaches, new systems, everything, basically, new employees. So I think it's to keep things fresh, you kind of need to keep yourself fresh like that.
It's true. Yeah. There's always more. There's always more growth. There's always more, even, if you reach you've always set this goal of 6 figures or 7 figures or whatever it is, and you hit it, like for Lindsey and I, like we've hit some big goals in our business, whether it was number of students served or financial revenue for the year, whatever it is.
Totally.
But, there's always more, not necessarily like we were literally in this morning's conversation talking about, the business, and we had a product idea that we were ideating. And I was just discussing, that's time intensive. Like, are we actually sure, given what we're kind of wanting to do with this business and ourselves, are we sure we want to do that?
I have this conversation all the time.
Yeah. Because it's you look at it sometimes and you're like, man, that could make so much money. That could be so lucrative.
And it's not,
but am I willing to do that? And I think that's for us, we literally discussed this morning, we would rather have a business that makes less money, but is a business that we can enjoy.
Yeah. To like live more life.
Yeah. And that's not to say that
grow the business by default, because then you could say yes to different opportunities that you wouldn't have had time for. I say, it's exactly the same for me at the moment as well.
It's like you don't have to make like $5 million in order to like find your satisfaction. Like, I would rather, if 5 million is going to leave me stressed and unable to be a fully present mom and wife, I would rather make 50,000 a year. Like, I'm not kidding. Like whatever that number is. And there's obviously different gauges, but I don't just want more for the sake of more. I want more that actually means more to me in my whole life.
That's cool. And I love that we're all on this journey together, because it's there's not that many people on this journey, I don't think, and sort of, growing things as big as the things that we've been up to and all that kind of stuff. So it's cool to see that you guys are in the same headspace and everything. And I think you're going to have a huge future in front of you, and you don't even have to hustle. You've spent all the years doing so much and building a reputation. And I think that's the most important thing. It's like putting that reputation out there and building a brand that people absolutely love and talk about. And then it can keep growing and growing.
Well, and I hope that's encouraging to anybody listening that, yes, there is, especially when you're starting something, there is absolutely a season of hustle and really putting in that work. But I hope it's encouraging even just to hear like all three of us talk about how like living life and living a life that you love and actually enjoying it is more important than just like hustling after more in the sense of more money. If that's, if that's not what's going to make you ultimately like the happiest and the best you there is. I don't know. I love what Evie just said of just, like I would rather make less money, but enjoy my life and be able to serve the people that God's put into my ecosystem, than just hustling after more. Cause I think you have to ask yourself, like, what are you hustling for? Like do
you guys ever get this? And a lot of my students do. So they'll go like, I've got a goal to hit 6 figures. And then the next year they're like, I'm going to do like 300,000 or 400,000. And then the year after that, they're like, man, that was the most stressful year of my life. Like, I'm going to scale it back. And I'm like, good. That's exactly where you needed to go. Because otherwise, if you didn't get there, you would never know. Right. And now you need to scale back to where you need, like where you know what's going to be comfortable. And I feel like I did that, and I've done it in every business as well. But I actually feel like it's so good to overshoot yourself, literally, if you're a photographer, but like overshoot the goal and then see what it's like there, because the grass is always greener, and then you can allow yourself to scale back to exactly the point that you want to be at.
That's so good. Because I feel like we're always chasing and hustling for more. And like, whether it's money, followers, accolades, email, subscriber, like literally everything.
Guys, I could send you an award if you want some awards next year. Like, I'll make one. Best educators in the universe. I'll make this cool little plaque that you can.
The wedding photography summit. I want like a trophy just for speaking.
We should do one of those, like best speaker. I would have 9 disappointed speakers, but you guys would be really happy.
We'd be stoked. It'd be great.
Yeah. Or you just give it like, you didn't know about the trophy. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Or every speaker just gets it, and then we all just have like best summit speaker, and everyone of us feels like the best.
You get those participation awards. Yeah, the real cop out. Here you go, guys.
Oh, that's funny.
What was I got this for? I even get one.
So funny. Yes.
You're like best host.
Yeah. Put that up on the wall right there. Tell everyone on my podcast.
I love it.
No, I think that's really good. And I'm glad that we got to jump on and hear you guys just sort of share what you're all about and what's going on behind the scenes and everything, because I think for us in Australia, it gets busy from now all the way till March. And I know you guys sort of go on the opposite, but I think like Christmas time, Thanksgiving, Halloween, like all these times, it's like festive season and there's just so much on your plate and it's hard to sometimes show up everywhere. So thanks for being on here. Thanks for saying hello to everybody. And
Absolutely. Well,
it's an honor to be here.
Oh yeah, we love to jam with you, Jai. It's always a blast.
It's always a lot of fun. Hey, I think there's going to be more collaborations in 2023 for sure.
We're excited.
Yeah.
And we're excited for this summit. Excited to chat all things reels and just, I don't know. I feel as photographers, part of why we're so passionate about that as for photographers is because it's so easy to be like, oh, but I shoot photo and that's video. And I have so many
I'm not a videographer. And I'm like, nah, you got to get more creative.
So many strong opinions about that. So we're excited to just hopefully
I heard a mentor the other day, just a guy on a podcast. I've always just called everyone I listen to on podcasts where I take their advice, I call them a mentor, right?
I love it. I mean, it's like when you're talking in conversation, it's like, oh yeah, I had a coach, but it's like the person you were listening to.
Yeah, because I listen to someone and I'm like, they're coaching me right now. This is awesome. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. So actually, now I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh no. Reels for photographers.
Videographer.
Okay. Yes.
So when someone says, oh, I'm a photographer, not a videographer. So this coach, this mentor says, hey, just to start off, just give me all the excuses straight away of the reason why you're not doing it, just so we can get them out of the way so I can save you some time. And then we'll get started on the strategy. And that's so funny because it's like people straight away tell you all the excuses and you say, yeah, just give me all those. Okay, now they're to the side. We don't need those anymore. And let's get to work.
So good. That's so good.
It's so good, isn't it?
I love that. Well, that's what we're going to do with Reels. Our Reels